Welcome to Ladybug's Library. The theme of today is Facebook and my family are bad influences. Welcome in and thanks for joining me today. Allow me first to paint you a picture. There I am on my phone scrolling on Facebook as every 20 something does, and I see that my local library is having a book sale in a couple of weeks. So, of course, I want to go and support them. And one day while I'm out with my family, I'm speaking with them about this. And I noticed that another library, not our local one, but one fairly close, was also having a book sale. And theirs was that day that we were speaking. I was talking to my family about it, and they were like, "You should go." And I was kind of hesitant because I'm going to our library in a couple of weeks for books, but they convinced me and came with me, and I went and I got books from there. And then I am once again on Facebook a little later, and I see that another library is having a sale. So I go there and get some books, and theirs was it was the last day of their sale, and they were doing like a $7 a bag. You could fill a bag for $7 or $10, something like that. So I went to that local library, and finally, I ended up finding this organization that was giving away books for free, up to 100 books for free, and they were doing it over a couple of different weeks. So we ended up going there as well. So I just kind of wanted to show you guys the books that I got from the culmination of September and October, so that you could kind of see what my local library sales and organization have to offer. I'll be giving you kind of a brief synopsis as much as I can of each book, so we're not here forever, because I do have quite a lot I want to show you. First, we have Oprah by Kitty Kelly, a biography about Oprah. I'll be showing you the backs and spines as well, so you can take a look at those. So here is your back, and there's your spine. I do enjoy reading books about people. My main genre is mystery thriller, some fantasy, some romance, but mostly mystery thriller, particularly murder mystery. But I'm interested to read that because I'm a little nosy and I like knowing about people's lives. And I'm interested to read this next book as well, Living Hillary by Hillary Rodham Clinton. So there's your front, there's your back, and your spine. Next book is L.A. Justice by, why did I say it like that? L.A. Justice by Robert Vernon, which is about from the perspective of a police chief during the Rodney King protest, kind of what that officer felt the community could learn from that. So interested to kind of see what he has to say. So there's your front, there's your back, and your spine. And I do like the naked cover on this, if I can get the sheet off. I wanted to show you guys that as well. I thought that was pretty cool. And the next book is going to be Life Support by Suzanne Gordon, which tells the story of nurses on the front lines. So I am very interested to hear about that as well. Here's your front, and there's your back, and here's your spine. So the next thing I'd like to show you is the organization also had physical audiobooks on CDs. Now, I don't even have a CD player, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to grab a few. So there's one of the ones that I got, which is Dan Brown's Origin, which I have the physical book of this as well, which I'll show you. And I think that's the 5th or 6th book in the Robert Langdon series, the series that has Angels and Demons and the Da Vinci Code. But there's that. I don't know if there's really a back to show you. And then there's that. Next book I want to show you is the Saratoga Diary 1912. This follows Hortense, I think is how you pronounce the main character's name, who marries her husband at a young age and quickly becomes kind of disinterested in him, but has decided that she will maintain her vows with him regardless of how she feels. However, her brother in law, Ray, ends up also developing feelings for her, so I'm interested to see kind of how this story plays out as well. Next is The Hand I Fan With by Tina McElroy Ansa? I believe it's Ansa, McElroy Ansa, which follows a woman who is kind of the backbone, the backbone of her community, and at one point decides that she does not want to do that anymore and wants to find love, and so her and her best friend end up summoning a ghost for her to fall in love with. So I think that's going to be really interesting to read as well. Next is Magnus Chase and the Gods of Asgard by Rick Riordan. I'm going to be completely honest, I think this is in a series and I haven't read anything in the series, but I read Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief when I was younger, and I'm on the quest to find those books and reread them. So I wanted to snag this because it looked interesting, and I think because I really enjoyed Percy Jackson, I'm going to enjoy this series as well. There's your side and your back. Next up, we have Nora Roberts' Black Rose. This is actually part of a trilogy from Nora Roberts. This is book 2. I'll show you book 3 next. I could not find book 1, so I'm on the quest for book 1. But this, from what I can tell, just follows 3 women as their lives kind of intertwine. And this one specifically focuses on Rose and is about how she wasn't looking for love and then found it, from what I could tell. I like Nora Roberts. I've read The Obsession. I think that's by her, and I really enjoyed that. I'm interested in kind of getting into more of her work. So there's your front. Here's your back. And your spine. There is the third book it's called the In the Garden series by Nora Roberts. So it's Blue Dahlia, Black Rose, and then Red Lily, which is the 4th one. So I've got the 2nd and 3rd, and I'll be on the hunt for the 1st one. There is the front of that. There's your back and the spine. Next up, we have Tiger Eyes by Judy Blume. So I've been reading my entire life, and a lot of my childhood I remember reading Judy Blume books. So this is one of many that I picked up due to nostalgia purposes, although I've never read this book, so I'm interested to read it. So there's your front and your back and the spine. So like I mentioned, I grew up reading, and one of my novels I remember reading prominently in high school was One for the Money by Janet Ivanovich, which follows a bail bonds agent named Stephanie Plum and the various hijinks that she gets into. I have currently up to, I think, 28 in the series. I think there's 31 out now. Janet Ivanovich is very much a comfort author for me. This audiobook, which is 10 big ones, so the 10th in the Stephanie Plum series, they had at the organization, so I decided to snag that. And here's that spine and that back. And then they also had The Chase by Janet Ivanovich, which is one I haven't read, and that I believe is a standalone. So I'm excited to read that as well. So there's your front and your back, which is Janet, and I think the author's name is Chase Lee. And your spine. Lee Goldberg. Janet Ivanovich and Lee Goldberg. Another comfort author for me, and someone who I read in middle school as well as high school, is James Patterson. So the organization also had the audiobook for the First to Die, which is the first book in the Women's Murder Club series, and I'll be showing you those as well because I have up to 11 in that series, and I think I started that series in high school as well, but just never finished it. So I'm looking forward to starting that over and getting back into that. So there's the front Here's your spine and your back. Next up, we have A Silent Partner by Jonathan Kellerman. So this book isn't a series. This is book number 4 in the Alex Delaware series, and this follows a sex therapist named Alex who comes into contact with an ex of his named Sharon, who seeks out help from him. Next day, Sharon is dead, and this book follows Sharon's life and kind of what happened to her. So let me show you the side. This one isn't much to look at because I just have the naked cover, but there's your side. Oh, there's your side. And plain back. Well, it turns out that The Chase by Janet Ivanovich and Lee Goldberg is not a standalone like I thought, but that's okay. Because I'm basically having to take these books down in groups because they've been put away. So I'm taking them down in groups to show you guys. And then I saw that I have The Heist, which is the first book in the series on audiobook. So it goes The Heist and then The Chase, and then I'm not sure what's after that. But here is the front of that. It's the Fox and O'Hara series, and I'll give you guys a quick synopsis on the first book. Okay, it looks like this is about an FBI special agent named Kate O'Hara and a con man named Nicholas Fox have to team up and work side by side in order to stop a corrupt investment bank. That's what the first one is about. And next is another audiobook that I got, Wish You Were Here by, always pronounce it as Jodi Colt, but then I've heard people say Jodi Pico, so I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name. This is another author that I read more frequently when I was younger, but that I still enjoyed. I vividly remember reading My Sister's Keeper and having my roommate spoil it for me because she was watching a TV show and I had kind of described to her what that book was about, and then she ended up telling me how it ends in the TV show. And I was very upset. But this is Wish You Were Here, and here is your side and back. This is Brown Girl Dreaming by Jacqueline Woodson, and this is told, let me show you, entirely in poems, and it's all about Jacqueline's life growing up in the 60s and 70s. So there's that one. This is The Bells by Danielle Clayton. This is about a woman who is a belle, and in this world everyone is born gray, and the only way to become colorful is to be blessed by a belle. And the main character in this wants to end up going to live in the palace and become the favorite belle in all the land. And this is kind of that story about how maybe getting what you want isn't everything. And I do just want to show y'all this beautiful map. It takes place, it's the kingdom is called Orleans, so I'm guessing it's a play on New Orleans and that culture. Next up, we have The Merciless 2 by Danielle Vega. This is a sequel. I have not read the first one, but this sounds really interesting to me. It's about a girl who ends up having to deal with the aftermath of an exorcism, which I guess I'm assuming takes place in the first book. And she ends up just kind of wanting to get out of town, have a fresh start, and she ends up getting that when her mother unfortunately passes away, and she gets sent to this academy. But the thing with the academy is that every student who is there has done something wrong. So that's very interesting to me. I think I'm going to seek out the first book, or see if I can maybe read this book. See if I can maybe read this book without having to read the first one. But yeah, and those are the other 2 books in the series, The Merciless and Survive the Night, which are 2 other books by the author. And this is another book that was definitely a nostalgia pick for sure. The Series of Unfortunate Events is a series that I read in elementary school, and I think they're currently reprinting them with like deluxe covers. I know that they've at least done the first one. So I saw this and immediately had to pick it up. If you haven't heard of this series follows the Baudelaire children, Violet, Klaus, and Sunny, and their parents unfortunately pass away in a fire, and they end up getting sent all over to these relatives to get taken care of. However, Count Olaf is kind of trying to take their fortune that they inherited from their parents for himself in various ways. This is the last book in the series. I'll be showing you another book I got as well, but I'll be on the hunt for those as well. Here is the spine and back. Okay. This next book I'd like to show you is another kind of nostalgic read. This is the Princess Academy by Shannon Hale. This was another book that I read in, I think, elementary school, probably middle school. I saw this book at the organization and I was just hit with a wave of so many good memories and feelings, so I definitely wanted to pick it up to add to my book collection and to also potentially read to my future child someday. So this follows a girl named Miri who lives in a village, and who one day the king declares that someone in her village is the future heir to the throne. And so it follows her journey of going through the process of becoming a princess and that as well. It kind of reminds me of a maybe younger version of The Selection by Kira Cass. This next book or books is a nostalgia read as well. I grew up with High School Musical, watched all three movies. I was devastated when High School Musical 3 did not premiere on Disney Channel and instead premiered in theaters. I felt very slighted as a 13-year-old, but again, felt a lot of good memories. And I didn't know that there kind of were books written out after the movie, so I was interested to see kind of how these books follow the story and if it's different from the movies or if it adds kind of just the same storyline that we saw from the first 3 movies. I think it'd be fun to read these and then go and watch the movie, so that might be something I'll do. And if that's something you're interested in hearing about, kind of how they differ, if they differ, let me know. So as I mentioned before, mystery thrillers are kind of my bread and butter. It's what I go to when I am in a reading slump and want something to help me get out of it. And this author, David Baldacci, I have quite a few of his books, some of which I'll be showing you today. But this is another, I guess, kind of comfort author for me. Not so much in the nostalgia maybe of James Patterson and Janet Ivanovich, but this is an author that I found as an adult that I enjoy reading. This book isn't a series. This is book number 2. The first one is called Memory Man, and this follows this specific one, The Fix, follows a detective as he witnesses a murder outside of FBI headquarters and trying to connect the murder suspect to the victim, and in the process is told to kind of back off because he's getting too close to finding out things that he should not be. So I'm interested to read that. I don't think I found Memory Man, so I'm probably going to end up looking for that through thrift books or maybe checking it out in my library. But here is this spine, and there's your back. And the next book that I found at the organization by David Baldacci is The 620 Man. This follows a financial analyst as he receives a cryptic anonymous letter stating that his girlfriend has been found dead, presumed suicide, and that he, Sam, the main character, is the next person to potentially die. So here is this spine and the back. Now this next book, I gotta be honest, I don't know what possessed me to pick it up. I saw it and I thought it sounded interesting and it was funny, but this is Buzzwords by Mae Brennenbaum, and it's all about bugs and kind of their life cycles and things like that. I don't like bugs. I'm not afraid of them, but they make me uncomfortable, some of them. But I picked this up and It made me laugh, surprisingly, and I do love to learn. So I'm hoping this is a book that I will enjoy despite the chosen subject. But there's the front for you. Here's the spine and the back. And our next book is going to be Huge by Sasha Paley. This book follows two girls who go to Wellness Academy, aka Fat Camp, and end up having two separate goals. April's goal is to take it seriously and to lose weight, while Will's only goal is to kind of undermine her parents and make them regret sending her there by actually gaining weight. The girls end up becoming roommates and end up actually becoming getting a crush on the same guy. So I'm interested to see what the commentary is going to be on as far as weight loss and weight gain and how we as society view weight. I'm hoping the author will have a nuanced take on that, and this is not going to be a book where the two main characters are just kind of made fun of the entire time. I like the premise that they have two different reasons for going to this wellness academy, and I'm interested to see how their story plays out. And our next book is going to be In These Girls Hope is a Muscle by Madeleine Blaze. This follows a high school basketball team in Massachusetts, the Amherst Lady Hurricanes, and tells their story of how after years they were never able to make it to a state championship, even though they were a talented team, and then one season they do. I am not really a sports person, but this really intrigued me. I am so interested to see how teamwork is going to play a factor in this, as I'm sure it is going to. And I love the idea of following this team that has not gone all the way to the top but is still successful, and how what may have changed that has led them to potentially go to the state championship. So there's your front and your spine and your back. Next book I want to show you is another nostalgia read that I didn't know existed. This is the Cheetah Girls, Off the Hook by Deborah Gregory. Like High School Musical, I grew up watching the Cheetah Girls, loved the movies, didn't know books were created, and I definitely didn't think so many. This is book 13 through 16 of the series, which is wild to me. So I'll definitely be looking to see if I can find the others of that series. Next is another book in the series of Unfortunate Events by Lemony Snicket that we found. This is book number 9. The Carnivorous Carnival is the name of this one. Here's your side and your back. Next book is Play Dead by Harlan Coben. This is an author that I haven't read from before, and the only reason I heard about them was because this author and Reese Witherspoon recently released a book called Gone Before Goodbye. So I thought this would be a great opportunity to see if I like this author, and then maybe go and pick up that one or other books by them. This book follows a couple named Laura and David who get married and then go to the Great Barrier Reef for their honeymoon. In the midst of diving, David does not return, and Laura then follows Laura as she works out what happened to David. So definitely sounds like something up my alley, and I'm always looking for more authors to add to my collection, so I'm hoping I will really enjoy this one. Here's the side and the back. Next two books I'm going to show you are in a series. This is book 1 in the series, and then book 3. This is book 1 is Zero Day by David Baldacci, and then book 3 is The Escape by David Baldacci. This series follows a war hero named John Puller, who is also an investigator for the U.S. Army. And in the first book, Zero Day, a family is murdered that lives out in West Virginia, and Puller is called to investigate. So I'm interested to see how I like this series. I usually don't go for military books, but I think with the kind of intertwining of a murder mystery, I'll enjoy it. If you'd like to know what the second book is called, the one I don't have yet, that is The Forgotten, and then there's also a fourth book called No Man's Land. So let me show you the backs and sides of these. Here's the side of Zero Day and your back. And here's the side of The Escape and your back. The next book is The Innocent by David Baldacci. This one follows a hitman named Will Robbie. This book is also in a series. This is the first book in the series and follows Will when he takes out the wrong target, I guess we'll say. And here is the side and back. And our next book is going to be Family Storms by V.C. Andrews. This book follows a young girl named Sasha Porter who was homeless with her mother, and in the midst of kind of going through life, her and her mother get hit by a car, and her mother unfortunately passes away. Sasha gets whisked to a hospital, and there she meets a wealthy woman who takes her in as her own. However, this woman also has another daughter who is jealous, so this kind of follows that relationship. I also, in addition to my mystery thrillers, I do love a family drama, so I think I'm really going to enjoy this. But if you've read it, let me know. Here is your side, and there's your back. Next book that we were able to find was Night by Elie Wiesel. This is a classic story. It's a memoir of Elie Wiesel's time as a young boy in the Nazi camps and his memories of what happened to his family. I've never read this, but as soon as I saw it, I knew it was something that I had to get and read. There's your spine. And there's the back. Next book is called A Novel Idea by Amy Friedman. This just seemed like a cute little romance. It's about a young college girl who ends up joining a book club at an indie bookstore in her area and kind of ends up falling for one of the members of the book club. So that's what that one's about. Here's your spine and your back. Next book is going to be another James Patterson book that I read. I think I read this in high school. This is the first book in the Alex Cross series, which follows a detective as he solves various murders. This first one is about a serial killer. So there's that front, side, and back for you. I was also able to find the second book in the Alex Cross series. This one follows two killers on two different coasts that are seemingly working together. So this one is called Kiss the Girls. There is the front, the side, and there's your back. Our next book is going to be Isle of Dogs by Patricia Cornwell. Patricia Cornwell is another author who I enjoy a lot of. Throughout going to these various book sales and events and things, I was trying to find as many of the Case Scarpetta series by Patricia Cornwell as I could, because I somehow got book 16 of the series. But this book, Isle of Dogs, is a part of another series, the Andy Brazil series, which follows a state trooper in Virginia as they solve multiple crimes. This one specifically is about the fact that the governor of Virginia orders that speed traps are painted on all streets and highways, and that any speeders are going to be caught by monitoring an aircraft. However, there is a small island called Tangier that responds to this declaration by declaring war on the state of Virginia. So this is about kind of balancing politics as well as the public from one another. Here's the back. And here's your side. As much as I love murder mysteries and legal thrillers and dramas, John Grisham is not an author that I have read a lot of, surprisingly. I saw The Rainmaker, which is a book well, actually a movie I had heard about, but didn't know it was a book and hadn't read it yet, so I wanted to pick it up to see what it's about. I think this is another book that I'm going to read and then maybe watch a movie as well and see how they compare. Here's your side and your back. Our next book is going to be The First Gentleman by Bill Clinton and James Patterson. I actually read this book earlier this year and didn't really have any intention on buying it. I enjoyed it, but I saw it at the organization and decided to go ahead and pick it up since it was there. This follows multiple characters. Essentially what happens is the first gentleman, the president's husband, is accused of a murder. So you follow his perspective, you get a little bit of the president's perspective, you follow a journalist who is trying to take down maybe take down is the wrong phrasing, who's trying to prove that the first gentleman did commit this crime. The audiobook is really good. Asia Naomi King, who was in How to Get Away with Murder, is one of the people who narrates this, and it was really enjoyable. There's the front. Here's your spine. This is the third book that Bill Clinton and James Patterson have written together. I think the first one that came out was The President's Daughter, and then The President is Missing, and then The First Gentleman came out this year. Next book is going to be A Civil Action by Jonathan R. This book is a courtroom drama. Two of the nation's largest corporations are accused of causing the death of children, and this follows one of the lawyers that is representing the parents. It's the spine, and there's the back. Next book I'd like to tell you about is called A Son of the Circus by John Irving. This story follows a doctor who 20 years ago worked on two children who ended up getting murdered and now is getting reacquainted with their murderer. This book is thick, if you can see, and the text, let me show you, kind of small. So this is probably one of my most intimidating books, but it seemed pretty interesting. There's our spine, and there's the back, the author. And the next few books I'm going to show you are some more Patricia Cornwell that I was able to find. This is Southern Cross. This is book number 2 in the Andy Brazil series. Here is the spine and your back. And like I mentioned earlier, I am on a mission to get the K. Scarpetta books. That series follows a chief medical examiner named K. Scarpetta, and I was able to find, I gotta double check what numbers these are. I think this was 9, 10, and 12 that I found. 8, 9, and 12 is what I found. So this is book 8 in that series. Your spine and your back. Here is book 9 in that series. And here is book 12 in that series. And our next book is going to be another Patricia Cornwell in the K. Scarpetta series. That is hard to say. This is Predator. Here's your spine. And this one is just a naked hardcover, so not much on the front or on our back. Next book I found is another classic that I don't remember reading. So it's The Adventures of Tom Sawyer by Mark Twain. I think I also have the Adventures of Huckleberry Finn that I got previous to this adventure. There is that front and side and back. Next book is 3 books in 1. This is the best of Barbara Johnson. This is another author who I had not heard of, but read a little bit at the event where I picked up the book. Thought it sounded funny. Figured it was a good deal because we're getting 3 books in 1. So there's that front. There's the side. And your back. And the 3 books are Stick a Geranium in Your Hat and Be Happy, Splashes of Joy in the Cesspools of Life, and Pack Up Your Gloomies in a Great Big Box, then Sit on the Lid and Laugh. Next book is going to be Mayada, Daughter of Iraq, One Woman's Survival Under Saddam Hussein by Jean Sasson. This is a biography. There is your back. And then we have Proof by Dick Francis, which follows a winemaker who gets enveloped in a crime, in a murder specifically. There's your side and your back. And then we also have another biography. We have Monica's Story by Andrew Morton about Monica Lewinsky. Your side and your back. Our next book is going to be Apartment 3B by Patricia Scanlon. This story follows 6 people who are all vying to buy Apartment 3B because it has been said that this is the apartment you go to whenever you need a fresh start. There's the front. Here's the side. And there's our back. Our next book is going to be Nobody Cares Who You Are by Larry Aquaviva, I think is how you pronounce it. This story follows a musician who is kind of down on his luck and follows his journey as he tries to find his muse and learns more about himself along the way. This isn't a series, this is book 1, and it is I believe it is an autobiography. And this follows Larry from birth to age 20. Here is the side and back. Next up is going to be Double Take by Judy Mercer. This follows a protagonist named Ariel who loses her memory and goes to visit her grandfather on an island in order to kind of understand who she is or who she was. While she is there, a stranger approaches her and mistakes her for his long-lost sister, who he believed was dead. So this sounded really, really interesting. Here is the side, and there's your back. Next up we have Same Kind of Different as Me. This is a memoir by Ron Hall, Denver Moore, and Lynn Vincent, and the tagline is a modern day slave, an international art dealer, and the unlikely woman who bound them together. So this is just kind of their story. There is your front, your side, and there's your back. That concludes all of the books that we got from that one day at the organization. There might be a few more that are spread throughout my other books, but the rest are going to be books that we got from the library sales, books that we got from some little free libraries, books that we got from Goodwill and Sam's Club as well. So the first one is going to be Change of Heart by Jodi Picoult. This book follows a family whose father and daughter is killed, and that person, Shay, is put on death row. And the mother of this family, June, is obviously racked with grief. But while Shay is on death row, June's other daughter, Claire, ends up deciding to forgive Shay for what she's done. So this is their story of how they learn to forgive Shay and move forward as a family. So there's your front, your side, and your back. Oh, shoot. Well, you can't really see her picture. Sorry about that. Next book is another classic, The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. I've never read it. I do kind of know what it's about, but I don't want to say because I don't know if that is a spoiler, even though the book is old. Just in case you haven't read it, I don't want to ruin it for you if you have somehow managed to bypass hearing what the premise of that story is about. So there's that one. Next book is Agatha Christie's And Then There Were None. I have read this book. I love this book. I love Agatha Christie in general. And I saw this copy of it at, I think this might have been actually at the organization. So I wanted to grab that. So there is that side and that back. Next book is called Immediate Family by Eileen Gouge. This book follows a group of 4 friends who were friends in college and then kind of went their separate ways afterwards and end up coming back together, and something happens, not quite sure what, that kind of changes their friendships forever. So there is that front, that side, and that back. Next up we have The Dinner List by Rebecca Searle. This book seems to answer the question, if you could only have 5 people over for dinner, living or dead, who would you have? So this protagonist chooses to have, I believe it's an ex of hers, her father, Audrey Hepburn, and I'm not sure who the other 2 guests were, but that was when we found a little free library, and that sounded interesting. Next book is Arthur and Sherlock by Michael Sims. This book follows how the author of Sherlock Holmes, Arthur Conan Doyle, came to develop him. Sherlock Holmes is another character whose stories I love to read. So there is that front, there's your spine, and there's your back. Next up is With Love from Rose Bend by Naima Simone. Next up is With Love from Rose Bend by Naima Simone. This is a romance that follows Leo Dennison as she is focused on trying to make her family's inn succeed. However, during the town's annual spring festival, she ends up having a one-night stand with Owen. There is that front, that side, and there's your back. Next up is another book by an author who I'm surprised I haven't read more of, considering the type of novels that I like to read. This is Rainbow Six by Tom Clancy. There's your side, and not much on the back there. Next up we have a Game of Thrones novel. This is A Feast of Crows, which is number 4 or 5 in the series. I do have book 1, so on a quest to get the rest of the series as well. The next book is a book that I've heard a lot about, but I hadn't had a chance to read, and that's Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. There's your front, and your spine, and your back. Next up is Private Eyes by Jonathan Kellerman. This is book number 6 in the Alex Delaware series that Silent Partner is also a part of, that we talked about earlier. There's your spine and your back. Next up is going to be Quick Study by Maggie Barbariri. This book is about a college professor who is dating a police detective, and the college professor's friend ends up reaching out to her and saying that her nephew has gone missing. When the college professor Allison reaches out to her boyfriend Bobby, they suspect that something else is going on because the nephew is found and his employer states it was just an accident. So this just seems like a fun a murder mystery to get into. Here's your spine and your back. Oh, next up is another kind of comfort offer for me. Dean Koontz is someone who I can always go to have a good time with a book. This novel follows an author who receives a bad review from a critic named Sherman Wax, and the author Cubby is determined to kind of just throw it over his shoulder, not be really concerned about it. However, Sherman is determined to destroy Cubby's life. So here is that front for you. Here's your spine and your back. Next up is going to be another David Baldacci book, The Fallen. This is book 4 in the Amos Decker series. So there is your front, there's your spine, and there's your back. These next 3 books I will take no judgment for. I saw them at my local library sale. It was a complete series. I've never read the series. And again, I thought it would be fun to read the books and then watch the movies and compare. So I do have 50 Shades of Grey, 50 Shades Darker, and 50 Shades Freed by E.L. James. Here is your spine on Freed, your back on Freed. Here's your spine on Darker, your back on Darker, and your spine on Gray, and your back on Gray. Next up is another book from Patricia Cornwell for the Kay Scarpetta series. I believe this is book 11. Let me double check before I'm a liar. I'm definitely a liar. This is book 18 in the Kay Scarpetta series. I don't know why I'm having such trouble saying that. Book 18 in the Kay Scarpetta series. Next up, we have Island Justice by Elizabeth Winthrop. This book follows Maggie, who inherits her grandmother's house after she passes away. Maggie goes to the house intending to just kind of clean it and then sell it, but then discovers something that kind of throws her into the life and community of the island. So there is your front, there's your spine, and there's your back. So next up is an author who I have read before and who is probably the reason that I enjoy courtroom dramas so much. This is Scott Turow's The Last Trial. This is about an attorney who is on the verge of retiring, and then his friend comes to him and says, "Hey, I'm accused of murder. I need your help." And so this is the last trial for both of them. So here is the front. There's your side and your back. Next up is a romance by Gail Foreman called Just One Day. This follows post-grad student Allison as she is getting ready to end her trip in Europe. She meets Willem, who asks her for just one day to fly to Paris. So this is about that day. This is a series. There's a sequel called Just One Year as well. So there is that side and that back. Next up, we have a book I was kind of surprised to find. This is a book of poetry by Lily Reinhart called Swimming Lessons. This is, I think, a newer book. I want to say this came out in 2024. So I was surprised to find this at one of the library sales. Lily Reinhart is best known as Betty Cooper in Riverdale, which is what I know her from. She is also one of the stars of the upcoming adaptation for Ali Hazelwood's The Love Hypothesis. So there's that front for you. There's the side and the back. Next up, we have one of the books that I picked up from Sam's Club. We have Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This is her adult novel debut. Holly Jackson wrote a Good Girl's Guide to Murder series, which I read earlier this year and devoured, absolutely loved. She wrote Five Survive, which I also read this year, and then she's written The Reappearance of Rachel Price. This book is about a 27-year-old woman named Jet who gets attacked and suffers a really bad brain aneurysm and has 7 days to live, and this follows her investigation into who it was that attacked her. So there is the front of that, there's your side, and your back. Next up, we have one of the books I found at Goodwill, The Husbands by Holly Gramazio. I gasped very loudly when I saw this book in Goodwill. It was one I was really wanting to read. This story follows Lauren, who lives in London, and one day when she comes home, there is a man at the door who is claiming to be her husband, but she has never been married, but all of Lauren's friends are claiming that they've been married for years. And the next day, when she goes to sleep and wakes back up, a new guy emerges from the attic, also claiming to be her husband. So that's what this is about. I'm very interested in it. There's your front, and your spine, and your back. Next up is another book that I think, yes, this was at Goodwill as well. This is Paper Towns by John Green. I have never read a John Green book. I remember the craze of The Fault in Our Stars, Looking for Alaska, but for whatever reason I just kind of bypassed him when all of that was happening. So I'm interested to read this. If you've read a John Green book, you'll have to let me know if this is a good one to start with or if I should start with another one. So there is that spine and the back. Next up, I'm going to show you my Robert Langdon series that I got. I already had the Da Vinci Code. I don't remember where, when, or how I got it, but I do remember picking it up and wanting to read it, but then discovering that it was in a series. And when I read books in series, even if they can be read as standalones, I don't like to. So I kind of put it aside until I could maybe get the rest of the series, which I ended up finding 4 of the books, I think 4 of them, at one library sale, and then I ended up getting the Origin at Sam's Club. So there's Angels and Demons. And Dan Brown is the author for all these books. Here is the Da Vinci Code. Next up is The Lost Symbol. And Inferno. And finally, we have Origin. And if you're not sure kind of what the series is about, the series follows a symbologist named Robert Langdon, kind of goes around the world helping to solve various mysteries. The first book, Angels and Demons, focuses on a murdered physicist. So I think I'm waiting on the Libby audiobook for that to become available, and then I'm going to jump into that. So I'm pretty excited about that. Next up is another book that I got from Sam's Club. I got Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir, and I am interested in reading this book, but I gotta be honest, the main reason I picked this up when I did is because I know the movie's about to come out, and the only thing I'm gonna be able to find then is the movie tie-in cover, which I did not want. So I saw that and went ahead and picked it up, and I'm excited to start that as well. There's that spine for you and the back. And now we've come to the last set of books that I wanted to share with you. This is the Women's Murder Club books that I was able to find, which is the series by James Patterson that follows four friends who fight crime together. So this first one is The Medical Examiner. I think that's in a book that's in between the novels. I'm not sure where it goes, but I found that one. And I got these were a combination of library book sales and Goodwill, I think is where I got all of these. Next one is the Women's Murder Club Trial. And then we have First to Die, which this is the book that I have the physical audiobook, the audiobook on CDs for. And then we have Second Chance. Next up is Third Degree. As you can see, this is a variety of hardback versus paperback, but I was grateful to find them all. I think the only one I had prior to getting this haul was, I think the second one. I think that was the only one I have. Here is 4th of July. Next up is The Fifth Horseman. And then we have The Sixth Target. My camera fell, so if it's slightly different angle before, I apologize. Here is Seventh Heaven. Next up is The Eighth Confession. I do love how all of the hardbacks have a different photo of James Patterson. I think that's pretty funny on the back. Then we have The Ninth Judgment. And we have 10th Anniversary. And finally, we have The 11th Hour. So if you've made it through this entire video with me, thank you so much for your time. Let me know if some of the books that you have read are included in the haul and what you thought of them. No spoilers, please. Are there books I should prioritize? Are there books that I should not prioritize? Let me know. And if you've made it to the end of this video, enjoy my terrible singing of, I don't even know what song it was. What song was I singing? Some Bruno Mars song while I was trying to get set up today. Have a great rest of your day. This is a recording to make sure that I am loud enough and that my model's mouth is moving when I speak. This is that ice cold Michelle fight for that white gold. All right.